Hello, everybody. You're watching The Mary and Joe Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you from one of the three platforms we might be broadcasting to you from, the MsChronicChronicles, Rachel Raw Truth, and The Mary and Joe Show podcast. Thank you all. If you are watching from Facebook, leave a comment, share this out. Very, very happy to share a lot with you guys tonight. Tonight, we're going to be sharing some intimate stories, situations in our own lives. And this is the part 2 of our mental health and addiction story time. So, part 2, episode 2. We're very, 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 very new to the sharing of our souls. Most of us have not went this deep individually. We are all really happy to possibly connect with one of you out there. And if you have any questions or something to add to the story and to the conversation in possibly episode 3, please feel free to send me an email at the Rachel Raw Truth. And I'm going to put it on the screen right now because I actually added it in our ticker across the screen. So if you have any questions you'd like to get across to us and we're not seeing it in the chat, just send us an email. And without further ado, please let me introduce my two lovely co-hosts, Tuki Rue and Mary. I said Mary. Hello, Marie. Marie Tarot 504. Welcome. How are you guys tonight?
Doing good. TGIF. Happy Friday.
It's actually here. It's actually here. I'm going to mute myself out as I am going to roll up a little something while we get our Mary and our Joe going. I hope you have your coffee and your cannabis. Would you like to get us going, Marie or Tuki? Would one of you like to start the conversation tonight? Go for it.
I'm kind of in the same position right now.
Oh, we're all rolling up? Okay, well then we're rolling up. We're going to take
flavors?
a moment.
You
What
got
flavors do I have? I have some good shit right now. I have some Runts hybrid, which this stuff is so dense, it's incredibly good. It kind of smells like Nerds candy. It's sweet.
Some soil grown.
This is actually in the indoor, I believe. It's so nice.
Yep.
And then I got some citrus berry, which is some damn good stuff. It kind of, I don't know, it's
got
between,
that lemon peel,
it's a lemon peel and a little bit of like pine soil. So it's kind of earthy too, but yeah.
Some of those are undermined, you know? Like people don't consider earthy flavors as good, but I like
terpenes are so important. We'll have to do an episode on terpenes because what I found is I need to stick with certain obviously flavor profiles that help with my pain, like lemony, citrusy, marigold smelling, and diesel-y usually are my best pain personally for the smells. It's weird. What about you?
I'm not completely sure, but I would say like OGs are my favorite.
Oh, so you like that earthy, almost a corpse, right?
Yeah, it's like real fun. Yeah,
I mean,
remember, it always brings me back to good times and stuff.
You know, OGs, I always feel like I'm always smelling it. I'm like, is something wrong here? Because it's so potent. Like, it's like, what is that? Is that a good smell? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Favorite, if anybody gets a chance, it's the King Louis OG. Oh man, it's got great.
Ooh, King Louis. That. What did the buds look like?
They were dense, and I would say probably about 70-20 indica sativa.
Let me look up a picture for all of our viewers. I'm going to do that right now.
And it had like blue and purple hues and white.
Hell yes.
And it tasted absolutely amazing. Not quite Fruit Loops, but it's just like a pungent, sweet taste and very euphoric, calming.
And it was Louis King. What was the
OG?
OG. Okay. Oh, let's see this. I'm gonna pull it up. Let's see here. King images. Oh, that's some. See, these are. Let's find a good one. Oh, that's purple as hell. Hold on. I think I found your. Oh, that's Purple Haze. That's why. Look at it. It's right next to LA Confidential, my favorite strand. Let me pull this up. That's crazy. So it must have the same profile. We're going to open it up. Share.
I think it was a F1 Durban mixed with something. OG maybe.
See, and I don't know if you're familiar. Do you search most of your strands as soon as you get them?
Yeah, this one was definitely King Louis. So like,
Oh,
and I got a few different batches. They were all slightly different, but it
uh-huh.
was always the same thing that you would want to expect.
Here we go. What do we
Yeah,
want
but
here? United States.
I did look up a lot of them. I looked it up when I first.
Let's see. OG. Oh my gosh. Look at that.
LA Confidential, yeah.
And OG Kush. Of course that's good. Do you know the first time I ever smoked LA Confidential, I literally was like, this is pain. Look at the purple tones in that. I was like,
Yeah,
this is pain relief. This is happy. Like,
yeah.
honestly, I'm telling you, I have never smoked anything quite literally
You turn your
as
day around. It's very
beautiful. It
interesting.
really, and it was something that I had so much option to buy it from different stores in California, but here in Colorado, not so
What's the
much.
aroma profile it's saying at the bottom there?
Right. Sorry, let me get rid of this little cookies message. How rude. I don't know if you can
Um,
see that. Let me pull this out. Did it affect it? Yes, it did. Oh, it's stupid message. Why won't it go away?
odor.
All right, we're
What?
gonna go over here. How does it taste? It like pine?
Yeah, it's saying it right here. Can you just zoom in a little bit? It says
Here,
odor
let
of
me see if I
wine
can
that
get
is
it
meant
bigger.
to be enjoyed.
Command. Boop. Oh, I did it. Okay, hold on. We're getting there. We're getting there. No, I didn't.
Yeah,
I'm
go down.
sorry,
I think
people.
yeah,
I'm learning.
up a
We're
little bit.
learning. Okay, is that good? Indica. It is an
Makes you
indica.
feel relaxed, sleepy, and happy. How does it
Right.
taste? Tastes like pine and is pungent. What
So
are
it's
the
very
terpenes like?
earthy. Right. Llama. That's the thing I'm talking about. Limonene is the best
I think I like lemon.
pain. It's very good. It's very, very good.
Yeah, like on days that
Hazes.
I had anxiety spikes or I was feeling down and out, like I would or just upset. I would smoke some
Right.
after a long day.
And like zombie amounts of munchies is what I remember. Like where you were like, did I just eat all that? When you like realize it after, you
Yeah.
know? I love that. But yeah, what is the one? Hold on, let me see. Because this other one I have right now, I would show it on camera, but that's not worth it. Hold on, we're gonna look up the plant. This thing is literally almost black. It's blueberry muffin is the strand, and dude, it smells like it's expensive. I treat it myself. Let's put it like that. Okay. Blueberry. Look at you listening to me. Blueberry muffin. Strand. Oh, yep, there you go. Perfect little example. Look at that dark little beauty here. Where's the other picture?
Oh, super pretty.
Oh, it's gorgeous, but it's purple purple. Mine is dark. Okay. I'll have to take a picture and put it on like that's kind of what it's like. Straight purple. Can you see that? Oh, yes, yes, yes. So yeah, I don't know. And then all the other ones I have are so like orangey right now. But yeah, I started researching all my strands probably maybe 3 years after I got my medical card in California. And mostly because I didn't want to get ripped off. And I feel like education's power. And like
Oh yeah.
honestly, I don't care where you go. If you have someone tell you it's one strand and then you find out it's totally another, and you're not educated, it's on you. You didn't know. Like if it is a light
Yeah,
colored,
it can change your
yeah,
whole day.
right. It's like saying I've never researched Swiss cheese, but somehow it was orange with holes. Like no, 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 no. That doesn't exist. What was that? What did you eat?
Oh yeah.
Right. That sounds like a mouse got your cheese. That's not right. Yeah. No. And I guess seeing it grow too, that's the most incredible thing. Let me find a picture really quick of my last grow. I'm sure Marie would love me showing this. This is a
Yeah.
moment in heaven here. Let's see. And the funny part is when I Google my name, MsChronicChronicles, it comes up in the search. So, that makes me happy. It's like my plants are getting all kinds of excitement. Here we go. And then this was 1 year. Hold on, past Instagram will let me go. Maybe. Proceed. Where are you? Well, fuck. Okay. Let me bring this up. Sorry, guys. Share screen. That was one of my plants. This one, there's a ex who was holding it. That was my own grow. I think that was 2000.
Nice.
Right. And then
it's the same bud, huh?
Right. And then let me show you this red one that should pop up. Right. Let me see. If it's not in there, give me a second and I will pull it up. But yeah, I like oh, I know what it would be under. Okay, it would be under alien space cookies. I think that's what it was. Oh, and then Chronicles. Well, all the things except what I'm trying to show you. I apologize, guys. Like, really? Let me check this. Actually, I know what we can do.
So how long have you been growing for?
Total now since what? 2013. And actually, when I first started growing, I didn't know what I was doing. I was doing it in Fullerton and let's see if it has pictures there. Media.
How much you can learn. It's not just putting a seed in the ground for sure.
No, honestly, I think that I felt like I had literally just accepted ignorance. Like, it's kind of, I hate to say it like this, but
it's good to have mentors too if you can.
Well, the connection that you get with growing, not just the plant that you end up smoking, it's so intense, I feel like, for the long term. I'll have to feature the pictures again on my Instagram because it's not popping up. But yes, the alien space cookies, I think that was the one I did last year. It was so red. It was beautiful.
I saw this thing by this gardener, and he was with his mom, and they were showing how big their cabbages got.
Oh.
And they're sitting there pulling back their cheeks like they're showing off their jewelry or something. Yeah,
right.
It's like a modern day fad to like have a healthy garden.
Well, okay.
That's what rappers start doing. They start showing off how big their carrots are and shit. Like 100%. They got I got a great bell pepper, boy. Check this out.
It's such a cliche time, I would say. Like, what we make importance. I saw a meme a while ago that like it's actually trendy.
You get like a diamond
to have a van by the river. That's like upscale living. That's extremely nobody can afford that now. But yet,
I love that.
And growing your own vegetables used to be like but why?
Yeah, but things are unaffordable at this point. Yeah, even a garden can be started.
But I think the main reason for me to grow my own medicine was because I didn't want any chemicals in it, and I wanted to see if it would make a difference on my health, and it really has. So I'm actually going to start. I was just talking to a neighbor today, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys through this whole process. So like, I'll give you guys updates on our lives, of how the plants are doing, probably starting in like October. So, because we have good weather then, and I can tent it and show you guys the whole process. So if you guys are listening, wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast, definitely follow along my Instagram because I'll be featuring a little bit of everything. But yeah, I mean, the chemical side of cannabis.
Some of the things you like getting black market ganja, you never know what might be in it. It can be sprayed with stuff.
Can I please say I did a podcast about
makes me not want smoke sometimes. Yeah.
Right. 2 years ago, I did a podcast on a whim about the fact that how do we not know that Louisiana itself wasn't pushing hemp, and they were making people think that they were getting good flour, because I don't know if you've seen hemp, but it absolutely is a beautiful plant. Looks very similar to regular bud. It's hard to tell the difference.
You can definitely pass it if you don't know what you're doing.
So how many people accidentally? Now this is all conspiracy. This is conspiracy.
It's a huge number.
But yeah, how many people, let's say,
or
even in big pieces of property in illegal spaces, like we're going to throw it out there, Texas, New Mexico, Kentucky, all these places that could get away with it growing between their corn and their black market and their little side piece. I've wondered this a long time. Like, how many people had to keep smoking and smoking and smoking and then doing other things? Like, of course, weed wasn't working. They were having, and I say it like that because that's how it was referenced. Weed's not working. I'm going to try pills. I'm going to snort these pills, whatever, right?
No.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, I know what you mean, though.
I mean, for you growing up in Louisiana as a child, kind of like your perspective. Now, can I ask what year were you born? For the people in perspective.
95.
Okay, that's a great. Didn't Tupac get shot like 2 or a year later? I almost think so. So you were born into the crazy.
He was born
stir up time.
Music at the time, like they say how bad it is nowadays, but I mean around that time it was like you'd walk down the street and people were living out these songs, or you're giving
right.
Do you remember the 95 flood?
Me, I don't. I wasn't here. I was in Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Music was a big part of me growing up.
Tell us about the 95 flood.
Well, in 95, in May, a rainstorm came like that out of nowhere and flooded out all of Metairie. Like,
oh shit.
Yeah, and then Tim came June 7th.
Wow.
I mean, he was right after the flood.
Wow. Your son and him have a lot in common with being born into just craziness.
Yeah, definitely.
For real.
Shane was a little bit before it. Tim was right after it.
Well, I mean, I believe it's like a masculine zodiac, like in Aries.
Oh yeah, that's it's a fire sign, but I think they behave a lot like their polar opposite is a Libra, and they really do. They perform in that judgmental, like very unique capacity, very calculated. Similar to
Aries have like a anger issues. I think
they can, but they can also be stupid calculated, like where it's almost dangerous.
Aries.
I know. He's gonna be a powerful source.
He's like, yep, that's definitely him.
Well, no, just like you would meet him and like feel like he's a smart guy, you know, and then maybe it's because he thinks about what he does.
He observes. That's what I think is interesting. We're all admiring him over here. He's like, shut up.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Nobody wants to be talked about it sometime.
He's
absolutely perfect.
Absolutely. No, but it's true that tragedy definitely makes the atmosphere interesting. It definitely makes you be a certain kind of strong ass soul. I would think you were born into that. Like, I mean, what's your perspective?
Life because of what you saw or did.
Right. I mean, would you say that your childhood was like sunshine and butterflies, or what is the sunshine and butterflies you remember? What's the earliest memories you have of like, this is perfect childhood? Like, we could go around the room and talk about it if you want.
I guess like my family, I don't know if it was like the Italian heritage or something, or just a close-knit family, but it seemed like every time during my birthday during the summer, like going swimming was a big deal. And even my dad, before like drugs and stuff got too bad in his life, he would like always buy me crawfish and we'd go out to the lake to swim, and he taught me He was the first guy I went through water with, like in
Ooh.
Yeah, like out in the lake, there was a passage full of like slippery rocks.
Right.
I was really scared and skeptical, and he showed me that I could do it. And he went first, and I gave it a shot. And he, I don't know, I guess he was trying to teach me how to be a man in his best way.
Confidence.
Yeah,
Absolute confidence. Yep.
that actually is something I forgot. So
That's
I'm glad
good.
you asked. That was really cool.
Nah.
Yeah,
No,
I
this
enjoyed
is
the time with him.
the profound awakening that happens when you literally allow your soul to be the guy. Like, your voice is there. You know that. But there's also a brain, there's also nerves, there's a heart. There's all of that connected to that speaking piece. So really, when it comes to like your childhood, of course it's going to mold you in some ways, but don't you think like the overall picture, you could have taken someone else's direction and been like, I will be a exact example of what they want me to be, and hopefully I'll please them, you know?
Yeah, that's been something in my life that I think I figured out, but I might be able to expand on one day. But
Right.
for a long time, I used to see really cool people or successful people or something I liked, like, oh, he can wheelie around the block. Maybe I should focus on how he does it, or she can dance great. I want to focus on how they do it, and maybe like learn from them. Which having a mentor is a great thing, but something in my heart one day just told me to be myself, and just be the best at,
Well,
or I
did
learned
you have to
from Bruce Lee.
self-soothe for that? Was that a self-soothing situation, or was that
That's a good question, but I think it actually was just something like mentorship through somebody that's not even with us anymore. Bruce Lee, he mentioned
gotcha?
one time that everybody's slightly different. So he created a martial arts. Most martial arts are thousands of years old, if I'm not mistaken, or several hundred years old. He made one in the last 100 years, which is unheard of. And the general philosophy behind it was that everybody's different. So one guy might be better at kicking, one guy might be better at punching, and just different ways to be in life. And one guy might be tall, short, heavy, skinny, or this goes for ladies too. And so everybody has their own way, and just to be yourself. And that's the most powerful thing you can do is learn what works best for your build.
I just pulled up something. It's actually pretty profound what you just said. It says, let me bring it up here.
It's one of my favorite things I ever learned.
See, I've never really looked into Bruce Lee, so that's interesting, and I hope we can enlighten some people with some
One
of
of my
his.
favorites.
Let's
At one
see
point, I
here.
thought I was like a tall Bruce Lee. Like I felt like him, like I had the little rib muscles and stuff. I mean, I might have been a little too skinny, but I felt
You were
like
the
it was
Southern
hilarious.
white Bruce
Exactly,
Lee from an
exactly.
Italian background.
Like if he could, if
That's
he
like
was me, I was him. It was
that's
hilarious.
excellent. So it
Or I
says to
tried. He was
change
awesome though. He's truly profound for me, at least.
and this is his website. It says to change with change is the changeless state. Bruce Lee believed that individual societies and cultures need to change with change. The world is changing. That's
Always.
profound. Yes.
I call it fluctuation. And so like people talk about psychics reading minds and things like that. I think that the mind's in a constant state of fluctuation. Like
Right.
one minute you're thinking, oh, the wall's purple. The next minute you're like, is that a couch? Or whatever you're doing. What is the couch made out of? You're thinking random things constantly. And body language shows like a lot of thoughts. And so when you ask somebody, hey, I can read your, or you tell them, hey, I can read your mind, and they say,
Right.
what am I thinking? What's the natural thing that you do when somebody asks you that? Like,
Prove it. You say
yeah,
prove it.
exactly.
Right.
And so whenever you say prove it, what am I thinking about? You're gonna change what you were thinking about, or whatever type of
Do you
features, facial expressions you were making. It's like you closed your book. That's
do you
something
think
that
you're
somebody taught me one time. I thought that was very interesting.
do you think I
Constant
just thought of
fluctuation, even
this?
thoughts.
Do you think it could be your taunting spirit by being like, I want to be rich, and then you get this opportunity. You like, do you think that that's it? It's like, all right, you asked for it. Do you think it's taunting? Like, it's like, because we do it all the time mentally. We're like, that person better call me if they actually care, and then boom, and you're like, fuck.
Or like you're skateboarding, and you're like, I want to get better, and then you end up getting better, and you're doing like these huge jumps. You're like, what does life come to?
Right. No, I mean, I think, okay, the moments where life just blows you away. Do you feel like, I mean, I don't know. Marie knows that I've had many moments in our friendship where I'm like, is that fucking real? Right. Because I don't even know how to process it. That's it. I don't know how to process it. So it's like, it's a test study amongst friends where you're like, this just happened. Am I seeing it the right way life should be seeing it? Right? Haven't we done that a lot?
Yeah. We've been through a lot of experience.
It's like I'm a scientist. You're a scientist. We have a rat trap in front of us. We're watching it. We're looking at our life. It's the thing. We followed the cheese. We followed the fucking cheese. And when we got through the box, we trade off and we're like, did we do this right? The rat's dead. That kind of moment. Like, too much of experience and not sharing it or look and reflecting, I feel like, is the real point. If you are not really taking a step back and looking at, like, what was the maze, right? And that's what he's saying. Wasn't Bruce Lee just saying change only happens with change, and then you have to look at the reflection of changeless? You're not gonna, I mean, what? So do you feel like Bruce Lee kind of raised you where your parents couldn't raise you?
Oh yeah, like, I give all the credit to my parents and family, but yeah, he definitely enhanced my understanding of the world around me. It's always good to learn. And I feel like people can affect you even long after they're gone, especially through literature.
Oh yes. Who's some of the people in your world that you are so grateful that you were scarred by, like in literature?
You said what?
Who are some of the people that you have been scarred by? Like, you can't undo what you know now.
I don't know, Albert Einstein. He was interesting to me. I thought that was kind of wild.
I love him inside out. Yep.
And I don't know, literature. Who else? Well, what about Lao Tzu?
Lao Tzu. Ooh.
It's
how's it spelled? Let's look it up.
It's pretty much Taoism.
Oh.
But I wouldn't just consider it religion. It's just kind of like a study of like reality, and just your way of being, like how to be, or to practice doing, not doing, to be one with the situation. Kind of like exactly what Bruce Lee said, to constantly change with the tide. Water comes and goes, and to ride the wave. It's kind of like, the same thing. It's just a philosophy to avoid friction in your mind and your reality. And
what age was it that you found this in your life?
It's to be the master. The true master doesn't speak on being a master, by the way.
Absolutely.
So I guess I was asked, but it's something that's just naturally practiced inside of yourself, and it becomes more apparent and enhanced as you get older with it. So that's a good question. I think it was around 22, maybe. Yeah, it was later in my life.
Actually a really good time to get some kind of nutrition like that. Yeah. Mental nutrition. Like, were you in a low place, or were you enlightened? Or were you enlightened not knowing? That's the question.
Well, I mean, I was always, I guess, around people that were interested in, I don't know if you want to say taboo, but just topics society doesn't bring
higher
up.
Thinking.
Yeah, just I guess stuff that you wouldn't hear people talking about at Walmart.
Right. What a good example.
too often, Like,
Right.
you never hear it at work, or they're like, go home, take a day
Mm-hmm.
off, but it's really something that might change your whole life.
Pearl grabbing. Your family was not afraid. They shunned the pearl grabbing people, right?
Oh yeah, I
Those people.
we can bring it up in a later series, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a family member of mine that has a has a website and all kinds of things that
Mm-hmm.
are about independent thinking
Oh, that's
and
fantastic.
extraterrestrials, things like that,
I think
paranormal
that's so
investigation.
enlightening. I feel like a lot of
How
people
did
are
it
afraid to
feel growing
go
up?
beyond just a documentary.
How did it feel growing up in that environment?
I feel like a lot of people in my family, they were interested in paranormal things, but it was never really pushed on me. It was always just
That's
a like,
nice.
let's go and look. You know what I mean? Let's try and
Mm-hmm.
find something that actually makes sense. That and
That's
people might,
fantastic.
yeah. Some of us had alternate opinions and stuff, and we would just kind of discuss it and be ourselves. So
That's like why
I
didn't
was
I
kind of
have
just
that?
given
That's the Bible
information.
study I wanted.
I
Sorry.
was given information. Yeah, I know, right?
Right.
It was actually kind of cool in that aspect, and I was able to just kind of think for myself and just
Right.
the information that people wanted to share, and I built my own understanding and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the help, along the way, just being shown things that you know help
You're
me through the way.
actually, I mean, st- most people do not understand this concept of other thinking, especially researching it. Like, okay, from your guys' perspective, you had a family member or family members, you're saying that researched aliens, right? In outer space, planets, and things like that, solar systems,
Yeah.
right? Is that correct?
Yeah, so I knew a lot
Okay.
about planets and stuff, or I was taught a
My
lot about.
my mother sat me down on the internet, like sat me down on AOL and search Yahoo days, all that, Netscape, and would say, "This is Mark Emery. He is a amazing person. You need to understand him. He's part of the cannabis industry." Say it with me, Rachel. Cannabis industry. And it was 1996. And that's huge because now where am I in life? Still educated and ongoing and upwards. I feel like you have an upper hand with just having any knowledge other people didn't have to seek out besides their family. That's huge. That's where you get science families that just
But there was
they
also a lot of other things that went in to those dynamics that
there
were
you go.
different, I would say.
Right. So what can you
I
elaborate
would
on,
think that,
Marie?
I mean, I could say for sure that our family was definitely very intertwined in the cannabis community.
Mhm.
Also, I mean, we're talking the 80s and 90s
Right.
were when they were coming too,
Right.
so they experimented, and
Mhm.
us kids were just along for the ride, I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
How about
80s and
you?
80s and 90s, could you elaborate on what you witnessed, or is that an uncomfortable place? Maybe like with what kind of drugs that you possibly, or maybe, I mean, whatever you guys feel comfortable with.
I mean, well, like, there's my pops, man. He had a lot of trouble, like, taking drugs. I remember it wasn't as bad as it was the last time I seen him, though. Um, at the time.
He was definitely a lot into acid. It started out when he was younger. And, I mean, of course, marijuana and cocaine and
He was still like the young him, if you ask me. Like, there was a shift at one point where he just like kind of didn't have anything fun to talk about. I mean, he just didn't want to have fun anymore. He wanted to sit at the
Mhm.
house.
So was he social at first with his
Yeah, he
activities?
oh well. I mean, I think he kind of tried to act like it wasn't happening.
Ah. Mm. And what's the earliest memory you have, like age-wise, for yourself?
I remember. Well, you were asking about that time frame. I
Right.
had experience where I touched on it in the last episode.
Episode? We'll
Yeah,
definitely link it below.
but it was just like how they had a fight at the bottom of every bottle, is what they would say. And there's a bottle of liquor, and
So
uh,
profound.
yeah, my pops got really mad that one night, and because
Mhm.
she hid the liquor from him, or somebody hid the liquor, and he blamed her, and then she kept saying it wasn't her, and he kicked her one time, and it hit her so hard that she had like a massive bruise on her leg,
Mm.
and it was just unacceptable. You know, I knew as a
Right.
young kid that like that's just not how you treat each other. You know, male or woman, you don't like hurt each other, especially over substances. You know.
Was violence, I have to ask, was violence already a factor, or it became a factor with the alcohol abuse?
I guess he was already slipping at that point, but
That's intense. That's horrible. Because
yeah, I
you
just
almost want to be mad at the alcohol and not the broken situation, right?
yeah. Now that I think about
Oh,
it, that might be part of like I have some anxiety issues. Maybe that's like
yeah,
somewhat the root. You
it's
know, I don't want
trauma
to
of
blame it
it.
on anybody because
Hey,
he didn't know any better, or no, I know he knew better than to hurt somebody, but
it's the
he was
outcome of the
going through his own stuff,
situation.
you know, and
Yeah,
and she was going through her own stuff. Maybe he bought it or something, or I don't know. But there's no reason to hurt each other, and it just the rest of my life I just knew that violence was like kind of looming or could potentially occur, you know.
right. On you were a fight or flight after that. That's intense. Um, we're getting a lot of views on all the platforms, just to let you
What
guys
would you think
know.
would be the
So this
very
is good.
Good to good to see everybody.
what would you
Yes.
think would be the first time that you realized our family's different? That there's something different.
I mean, every family's different, you know, to be honest. But I mean, I like the family that I had, even though we went through trouble and stuff. I think it was cool growing up with the people I grew up with, and even the city we were in. Like, it taught me a lot. You know, it might not have been all smooth sailing, but I feel like I learned a lot in the time.
I'm so
And
sorry. I don't mean to interrupt, but
but
UFO fact.
my dad still was there to buy me crawfish and be a nice guy when he could, and he was a super nice guy to his lady too, until that time, you know, until he crossed the line with her, and that was terrible. But other than that, like he tried to be a happy guy at one point in his life, and it just got worse.
I have to
She cut him with
apologize.
some scissors one time.
UFO, I accidentally put you in timeout for 5 minutes. Please don't be upset. That was my finger. It wasn't nothing. He said hello to us. So I apologize.
UFO, I love that name.
Isn't that good? Fact or fiction? He's been following me, I think, around 10 years, if not
Nice,
more. And that's hardcore loyalty because he's listened to all
super cool.
the randomness. But yes, please, I apologize for interrupting. I think the horribleness of, I mean, so would you consider yourself a minor when you saw that, like under the age of 12, or would you
Yeah,
yes, okay.
yeah, I was a little dude.
Yes. That's a profound thing to witness.
And the thing was, my stepbrother was there, and we would just kind of like hide in the room, and that was a real deep bonding experience for us. You know, we still had fun throughout all the scary time or tough times, I guess you could say.
Do you just
We
remember
still loved each
telling
other.
yourself to ignore it, or how do you feel like as a child you personally had to cope? How did you, I mean, like,
I don't
oh,
even think I realized how big of a deal it was at the time.
that it was almost normal?
Yeah, just
Oh, sir, we can all
to
agree
be
with
honest,
that.
I mean, I can't remember it completely. I mean, I really
Right.
can't actually though. It's just well, it was so long ago, but I think I think to myself that I just woke up the next day and wanted some Cheerios. You know, I had other things in my mind.
Seriously. Isn't that the sad? That's this is the point of what I said in the last episode. If you guys listen to it, please enlighten yourselves, because it is called jaded. That is a colorful feeling of jaded. When you literally wake up and you go, I need to do my normal stuff so I still feel normal. Because what just happened wasn't fucking normal, but I'm going to have to do the normal stuff so I still feel normal.
You went on that Christmas.
Like 12 or something.
You couldn't have been, because I was only like 14.
Well, I was, no, you.
Yeah, I didn't have a car yet.
And
I think I was over 10 years old. I was like 10 or something.
No, I'm 9 years older. That would have made me 19.
see,
Okay, so we're trying to put together the timeline.
Where was
I think Tim was maybe 7.
Where was Greg going?
Wow.
Where was Greg going to work at?
That's so hard.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so you had to have been 7 years old.
Thought he was with Jules or whatever.
And then that means that being in your life, and I'm sorry, can you guys hear me? I had to switch out and plug in the phone. That means that if you really look at at least from my view of what you're explaining, your perspective was it was so normalized, you didn't even recognize it as an issue until probably when? What was it
I just
really...
felt like my dad wanted to drink his liquor that freaking bad, and
right.
she wanted to drink the other half that fucking bad, you know?
Right.
It's just like, wow, these two people just don't understand each other, like, or they can't meet in the middle. Like,
do you remember confronting either one of them?
I didn't say a word.
Really?
I guess, no, to be honest, I was scared, like, to speak up about anything that I saw. I try to act like it didn't happen.
Because they didn't. Because they probably acted like it didn't happen.
Yeah. But she was mad and all that. Cyrus was quiet. She was like just not talking and stuff, which I could completely imagine, you know?
Do you remember coddling either one of them as a small boy? Do you remember like being like, are you okay, daddy, or whatever? Did you just totally ignore it and not bring it up? Because they were fighting.
I asked her if she was all right and stuff, you know, and she kind of shrugged it off like she was fine, you know, and she was like a wild lady herself. Like, I don't think that's the first time that she's gotten a fight or whatever.
Well said, sir.
She hurts her. I've seen her hurt herself.
Her front teeth had been knocked, so she put fingernails over them.
She wrecked her car on medicine going like 15 miles per hour, but like crushed the front of her face open.
Hello there, We Free TV. Hello. Hi, everybody. Thank you for listening.
I remember one time we were right. Oh yeah, welcome.
See, everybody supporting your voice, sir. Keep telling your truth.
Well, I appreciate it, and I would like to hear other people's stories too. But so this one time we were riding on the where's that bridge? I think it's in the east of New Orleans or by Norco almost, and it's
that's the west.
It's like all swamp.
All swamp.
Okay. Yeah, it's just all swamp on either side, and we're on these overpasses, or like
they short.
Well, it was probably like a few miles of bridges, and there was like a Y at one of the bridges where it branches off to Narco and stuff.
I'm not sure. You might know more, Marie. I'm lost on that. I'm already lost.
The thing was, we were just surrounded by swampland on all sides, and it was starting to. I don't know. She was starting to like fall asleep at the wheel.
Oh, jeez.
And my little brother was in the car. So I grabbed the wheel and was steering for her and stuff while she was driving. It was tore up, and she beat herself in the face with a phone case to get some drugs that day from the doctor. I thought it was terrible.
That's horrible to witness. Yeah. Horrible to know the reality. Jeez.
Like, if you're not really hurt, you probably shouldn't go to the doctor, you know?
So did you see that as addiction yet? Or did you see that as just... normal
I
state.
thought she was crazy at that point. I realized like she's a crazy person.
But you didn't register it as addiction.
Mm. Well, no, yeah, like everybody told me that she probably had a problem with stuff, and I guess that's yeah. I mean, I knew why she was doing it too, yeah. So.
But did you think others in your life, like the
I've
teenagers
never
that
seen
were
nobody do
around,
stuff like that, like.
did you think that they had addictions, or did you think that they were just
Wild people, yeah. I mean, I thought addiction and being wild kind of went hand in hand. I mean, when it came to substances.
So, what do you remember of growing up in the house as a young child with teenagers? Because you got to think when you were 8 years old, they were 17. So, take a year back. So, when they were 15, 16, you were 6 and 7 years old. So, what are your memories on that? How did you find that cool? Did you find that?
I mean, they got in a lot of fights. That's what I remember the most. Is just like always fights and ladies. You know what I mean? Like they were always dating somebody or fighting. My uncle came home one time with a busted head because he got in a fight with like a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
Was it happening all the time, or when it happened, were you like, I'm not surprised, or how did?
I wasn't really surprised because.
Oh,
And I feel like at the time he was just having fun and didn't realize what was going on, or maybe he used to wear like really cool clothes and stuff, and
yeah,
had nice things because he was working,
right.
and at the time he was just like, I guess flashy. Like people were shocked and they would say stuff, and it
So
was
you
all in the
felt he was
music too at the
respected.
time. Yeah, he was probably
Right.
yeah. I wasn't out there with him, but I mean, I'm pretty sure people respected him just by looking at him.
So you wouldn't judge his judgment at that time, or were you already fed up with what you were seeing him getting
Well, I
himself
mean,
in?
he wasn't like my dad where he got violent
Right.
with people at the house and stuff. He was a real nice guy at the house a lot of the time. I mean, but if you woke him up, he was pissed off. But other than that,
What a
he
weird
was a pretty
dynamic.
cool
And
dude.
were they considering? Okay, well, here's a serious question, just so we understand. Were these two people doing the same drugs together, or were they just independently different addicts with different drugs?
I mean, I think the music was all coming out and everybody was partying at the time. Like there was a lot of like club music coming out, and
Right.
probably just what a lot of like yeah, I guess teenagers in the area would do is just like I don't know, drink a lot and smoke
Right.
stuff.
Do you think pills were already a problem? Because like drinking and pills, I always heard that's a big thing, and I've always seen it in New Orleans.
Yeah, I could imagine like a lot of people in New Orleans were taking like Xanax and painkillers and stuff.
How did we not have more deaths? That really says a lot. How do
And
we not
they
have
like Soldier Slim talking about harder drugs and stuff.
right? Like the one thing, I don't know.
Eminem was out talking about all kinds of mixtures of
Eminem
substances,
was very popular.
violence and stuff.
So
Well,
did you view that as like,
I
this is
think
what I'm gonna be when I grow up at six,
oh,
7
good point.
years old? Like I can't wait to be that, or were you like, I don't ever want to?
I think I was always like myself, because I mean even at that time I had fun with people, but like they always let me be myself. Like they were never like you got to fight somebody next week. You know what I'm saying? Or they weren't like I'm gonna like you know what I mean? Like you have to get drunk tonight or something. They just let me be myself.
So would you say that was like middle school? Because before we were
That's like
discussing
very young. That's like first, second, third grade when they were coming up.
really
He was in first, second, third grade
when his parents were acting a fool.
when his uncle and when they were just having not teenagers being teenagers, and his parents and our older group of people that were also around were into the ufology
Right.
and their own situation. Do you want to talk
Right.
about the Christmas? No, he's got to regroup.
No, we're good. I mean, what I can say, and this just came up while you were mentioning, so just to throw it out there, I I actually you helped me, Tukey, to remember something I have forgot about for a long time.
It was almost like a movie, you know. Things
Right.
just everybody
Pop
was
back
moving
in, and
so
no,
fast.
it's a healthy thing. Your brain stores things for certain reasons, and I think trauma does like kind of put like how butter does to your arteries. It clogs your
So,
shit up. And
so what? So what are you remembering, Miss Bob?
I'm remembering that the first time that I ever witnessed my mom's problem probably was alcohol. And it isn't the reason she had a liver disease, but it sure made it easier for her to die. I'll say that. And at the end, it got very interesting because it was a progression. uh my mom's drug of choice, and that's probably exactly, I didn't even realize it. I've come to that reality that I am probably naturally like my mom, and she tasted the alcohol too before she got it in her mouth, because when my mom was happy, she had wine. When my mom was sad, she had wine. And there's a period of time, even with her liver disease, where they were like, you're not supposed to drink. But I can remember her, we lived in Denver, Colorado. I was a young child. And I came into the kitchen, and she had been wanting a glass of wine after a very long day, which isn't wrong, but it's wrong if you drink a few glasses. And she got too drunk, and she went for like another bottle of wine, and it all fell. The bottles of wine were on the top of the refrigerator, and they all fell in the kitchen. Now I'm in the back room playing in my own little room, my own little land, happy little, maybe 7-year old or 8-year old, maybe 7. And they all fell, and it was red wine all over the floor,
Oh
and it
no.
looked like blood. And I remember walking in there, and she had cut her leg, and she was on the floor saying, call 911.
Oh,
And that
no.
was the youngest time that I remember being like, wait, this isn't normal. You were happy when you had wine. Like, it was always normal until she started probably drinking too much, when she had already had her liver disease. And then the next progression, as you were discussing it, for me was like, okay, we're living in a Palisade, which is similar to where I live, but a little further away, which was most of her health problems. Cancer had come back. You know, she wasn't focusing. She'd been very open about it. I'm not focusing on my liver right now. I'm focusing on the cancer. It's going to kill me faster.
Yeah.
So on occasion, she would get really fucked up drunk, and she'd smoke a bunch of joints and listen to a bunch of music and dance around and be happy and like in her own happy place, but be shit faced drunk. And then the party would end because, you know, as we are New Orleans, who we are, she would get so shit faced, she'd like just slam herself into the bathroom, be vomiting and screaming for me to help her off the floor. And I'd have to carry my mother into her bed and take care of her and hope she didn't die. Because that was my thought at like 13, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, my dad was like he started saying that he was peeing blood and stuff, and he got sclerosis and stuff. You know,
Right. My mom
it was
passed
scary.
away from that too. Yes.
Man,
No, but it was a
it's scary to
complication
see
of two
somebody like
different
hurt
health
themselves like
conditions.
that. You know.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's funny because I think I can at least answer this part of the episode with my own personal experience, that I can't I can't speak for her 100%. She's no longer with us, but I can 100% say from my perspective, as we've used this analogy so far in the episode of like, does the horse come before the cart, or the cart become before the horse? So if we're going to say mental illness is the horse and the addiction is the cart, then from my personal perspective of what addiction was, I watched the horse come before the cart. I saw mental illness first be a coping mechanism to be happy. Overuse, she was already ill, and then it literally, it, because see, Marie knows that at the end
Yeah,
of my
my
mom's life,
dad, my dad
she
had some
was drinking
deep
to the
things.
point she'd always vomit, and then it
Oh,
was like a continual thing taking care of her.
Right.
Bad. And I let her drink. I was like, you're dying. Okay, drink. I'm not going to stop you. You're already dying, you know?
Right.
Oh no.
It was kind of like
Right.
you want to enjoy. I
Uh-huh.
don't
So
know. I have like your mom wasn't a violent drunk or anything like that.
no,
She was
a
actually like,
depressed drunk.
because I
That's what I
remember
thought.
my uncle had won mayor and like she was like, I mean, that was a great moment for me. I was such a young kid. I mean, I wasn't young, but I was like teen, adolescent,
Right.
you know. And she was just so happy for me and like had watched so where I could go and like hang out with you guys and came and got me when it was in. You know what I mean? It was like
Right.
I don't remember your mom ever as like, I mean, yeah, she
She
was
hid
dying. She
everything.
knew she was dying.
Right.
And like she had known it for so long and like
9 years.
it was
Yep.
kind of like, why wouldn't she enjoy the time she had? You know, she
Yeah.
was so worried about you kids, you know, like,
Right.
she was so worried because she knew that she wasn't going to make it.
That's correct.
And she knew it. And
Yep.
John was so much younger, you know.
That's right. 6 years
And
younger.
so like in a lot of ways as like a mother's perspective, and you got to think your mom didn't know when she had y'all that she was going to get sick like that. You know?
Nope. She was
And
actually coming out of a fully abusive physical, mental, financial, all of the things, and
she wasn't,
extremely
I
abusive.
mean, so like,
She
I'm not giving
coped.
her a pass, but that one
No.
video that we watched, and we'll have to touch on it later, like, she really bonded with the substance, and it was her escape, and
Right.
she knew it was inevitable what was happening. You know,
Right.
she had to have some peace behind it. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that at the very end, it did get ugly when,
Mm-hmm.
and I truly believe that at that point, her brain kind of checked out. Like once she had
I
to go
thought,
into the hospital, she wasn't able to put on that mask for y'all.
well, okay, let me just put it out here, and this will really ring some cages and some hearts here. If you're listening, let's be real honest about this. My mother was dealing with breast cancer and hepatitis C, full on cirrhosis, within a 9-year period of both of these illnesses just taking her. So it went from bones, well, breast to bones to liver and then brain. And she was gone within 3 months of a 6-month giving window. So, and seizures and all that at the end. But they in Louisiana at the time, cancer patients were tested for their pain meds. And I'll 100% speak on her behalf, because if it was legal at the time for her to just get cannabis, she would have just used that. But the pain meds were required for her to take, for her to even be taken seriously, how much pain she was in from the cancer. So me witnessing that, I never ever looked at her pain pills as abused. She traded them for drugs. And I can speak on her behalf because she did the best she could to financially still be stable. And as a mother, now myself, I had to move to be in a safe place to use the right medications, because the same things sort of exist and sort of play games. So they would test her blood to see how much medication she took. So we're talking, she had to jump through hoops to find alternatives to things that she was so aware were habit forming, and was so educated about pharmaceuticals being synthetic versions of other drugs. Quite aware. And so, as I said earlier in this episode, my mother sat me down and was like, listen, you're going to research this person. We're going to talk about what they're doing. Can you read this section for me? Like, it was a learning section, a session with my mother. And she was so aware she was going to die. So, and she was aware there was an industry being built in this world we lived in the United States. She saw the politics. So I'm grateful for her leaving me knowledge, but she was part of a system at the time, which unfortunately still exists in some states, that play people like fiddles to get them addicted. And even if the pain med doesn't work for them, they still might be addicted. So I saw only addiction in a perspective of a doctor. And that's probably why I'm really harsh on them to this day for my own pain help because nothing helps. Like it's hard, you know. And if I had tried heroin on the street or something, who knows, would that have been a better version for pain management? I just wanted to keep my face and my personality and my money. I really did. I had no desire for that until cannabis was introduced to me in my 20s versus my teenage years using it recreational. In my 20s, I was like, oh, this is how medicine works. Because for me, it was so amazing how I function again. I like forgot life existed. Like depression set in. And I think if desperation's of like something that's at the surface, you're an easy victim to addiction. That's what I feel. That's what I feel. I don't know. Sorry if I said too much.
No, not at all. Not at all. This is your safe space.
Right. I mean, pain pills, the only thing I can say is, you know, overdoses. I've taken too many pills before or mixed too many other medications. There's a condition called the serotonin effect. I think it's what it's called. But it's where you take one antidepressant with another muscle relaxer and it accidentally.
Oh, you mix.
I did that. I had to have the ER come and knock my door down. I'm not the ER. The police, medics come in Los Angeles, jump over a metal fence, and come break down my door. I don't know if you were in touch with me with that. I don't think you were.
I was.
I did. I had to. You weren't. I was in California. That's insanely sad. I never shared that. I don't even know if maybe it's documented on this channel. It probably was. I had to have them break down the door and take me out and bring me to the hospital. And what they had to do was monitor me and monitor and monitor me because I wasn't able to breathe. And when I called 911, meaning like you can be trying to take care of yourself, and yet this is the fact of the matter. CVS failed me. They shouldn't have been able to fill those scripts together. That's what I found out later. California has safety nets. They shouldn't have been able to fill it, and CVS failed me. When I came back and told them, they were like, oh my God, we're so sorry, because they didn't even notify me. It's not one of those, do you have any questions? It's supposed to say, hey, these two drugs can interact. Do you want to fill them? That's how I should have been told.
You're not supposed to get too crazy.
Right.
What about your doctor that prescribed them together?
He was freaked out that they didn't take it off my list of medications. Do you understand what happened? CVS filled something that I wasn't even on it anymore.
Oh, okay.
And gave it to me, and I took it because I was supposed to. I was on I think Lexapro and then Lexapro and Flexerol were the two that were the cocktail. And I took it together, and I literally, let me tell you how shallow my breath was. This is literally how it was when I called 911. I was like, I can't breathe. That's what happened. I was falling asleep. I was literally not able to. And that's what it does. It makes your oxygen level. So the cocktail of drugs, this is why I said this earlier in the show, when everybody took the Xanax with like several, they were like, oh, I want a bar. No, I want 3 or 4 bars. Like, holy shit. And drank it with vodka.
I was laughing. They wanted way more than that.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, and could actually breathe. I'm telling you, I don't know about that.
I'm not gonna
please share
names, but I knew this dude that's like in the MMA and acting and stuff. It's a very, very tall guy too, so I guess maybe they need more or something.
Right.
That's a good excuse, huh? But
that's funny.
But yeah, he would eat like 6 or 8 of them a day, and it was just more than most people could even imagine, because it could potentially kill you if you like you know how you spoke about breathing like that.
Yeah, like, it's terrifying.
Yeah, and he yeah,
it
was a wild experience, and he had to bring him everywhere he went, and he was a super, super rich guy too, so I'm not sure how it affected his money, but and he would act completely normal, but every now and then he'd lose his balance and stuff.
Oh God.
Like he would start to like kind of just fall against the wall, but he's not slurring his words or anything. And most people wouldn't even be able to talk with that type of
right.
Yeah, it was a kind of scary thing. I questioned if he was going to be all right because I know he has to come down from that level of stuff in his system.
So I was dating a guy for a while who I believe he really needed the Xanax if he took it consistently, but he in no way needed the
It helps
Xanax and
people.
other pills. And the sad part, yeah, it did
Not
help
in
him.
that dosage, but like
No,
the correct doctor.
like I said, in an experimental dose. We'll put it like that. An experimental dose, and then to ask your brain to come off of that, and to ask it to not be dependent on that, and to ask it not to give you even. I've heard seizures. Isn't that true? When you're coming off of it, if you don't come off right, don't you get seizures? I might be wrong.
Alcohol can do that.
Oh,
Xanax
that's
is the worst one.
the worst. No, Xanax literally. Okay, so when I dated
It's a seizure medicine.
This individual, he was suffering severely with suicidal, excuse the S, but anyway, tendencies, and he was ready for it. I don't know how else to put it. It was hard. I just had to accept he's probably already gone. And at one point, I finally got the information from him by him slipping up in a moment of being dosed on Xanax. He was comfortable, and he accidentally said, yeah, I finally had Xanax. I've been just feeling so much better. And I was like, whoa. So I realized his hostile behavior and his want to die moment had to do with detoxing. And man, that's sad. That's sad that in that, and I watched it for a good, almost 6 years, go up and down. So, and then other people I've seen it use it in just a therapeutic manner, and their doctors cut them off. And then that creates a whole nother monster. And I'm sure some of those people who respect me saying that, respecting, because I'm shouting out someone from New Orleans who understands that. Go ahead.
I was on medication for anxiety too, and I mean I had to stop taking it. It can really shock you, you know. It can make things I guess overstimulating at times. But you can make it through and be okay again.
You have to look on coming out of any of these. I feel like honestly, the only one, and
it's okay to
believe, but
it's important to have like medical help if it makes your life more organized or
that's right,
closer to your goals.
But abusing anything that starts off as like a therapeutic use, like that's why I had mentioned in our last episode, the shrooms are something that is such a fine line that no doctor is going to 100% have a good example for any 1%. And we have to be careful with that.
I want to mention there's so many different types.
Yes. And so many different people's makeup and food they've been eating for a few weeks can affect that trip. That's a fact.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like when you got into middle school, do you feel like what was your viewpoint of addiction and maybe mental illness? What did it look like to you from your jaded years of early days of two key root? And I've hashtagged you, sir, so we need to get you a Twitter or something going. We're gonna introduce his thought process to the world too, because he's got a lot of great, profound words, sir, and stories.
But yeah, in middle school, I mean, I remember Mardi Gras, I guess, might have set it off, like when substances became a big thing, because like we were so young that we couldn't buy our own alcohol and things for Mardi Gras, so we would sit outside of the store even before school and after school, and like sometimes we wouldn't go. It was terrible, but the thing is we would ask somebody to go in there and buy us the alcohol, and we actually knew the the clerk, and he eventually got arrested for like casing a fire in his store that
jeez.
yeah, it was insurance fraud.
Oh, he's a super winner.
Yeah, but he was like selling us tobacco and liquor and stuff.
He wanted to keep you in his clutches, sir.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how addiction can creep into your life because it seems like a convenience or something, and it's just really
availability.
Like burden.
Oh my God, burden. Okay, so what did you see? And I'm sorry, what did you see in those days that like were like, okay, this is acceptable. How could it hurt anybody? And then what changed? Because we all did that. Like cigarettes are one of those things. I was like, George Burns was like 100 and something. He was smoking cigars. I can do this. I'm good. I might just sound like a truck driver. We're good. She knows that. I said that. It's a real thing.
Yeah, like I mean, we would just sit in like a horde of kids. Like, I don't know. I had a weird middle school experience because we had a house that was like 5 blocks away, and we had like 10 to 15 kids that all hung out together, and there was older and younger, and I guess we kind of did the same thing. We would roam around, and we'd end up into fights a lot of the time and stuff over whether it was ladies or just like people talking crap or people stealing stuff, breaking stuff.
Were you stealing and breaking stuff, sir?
Actually, I never really had to, so I got
good. You better give yourself a pat on the back.
What about in the house?
Oh yeah, there was that.
I need to get a little tiny piano and be like, dun, dun, dun. No,
yeah, you should. That'd be great. Like you just press a button and it makes a noise.
I'm working on it. I'm looking.
Or a
you guys
playback
are ahead
button.
of me. I was just looking today. The universe didn't deliver a money tree yet, but I'm working on
talk about it.
So do you remember, just backing up a little bit, do you remember starting the food fight at Ella DeLon?
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about that?
Oh, I also won the DARE program. I got the award for the DARE.
Look at you. All your foolishness. Let's talk about it.
Well, I mean, I guess I knew a little bit about it. So, and I don't know, they just picked me to go up and talk in front of everybody. But the thing is the food fight. Somebody threw some food across the cafeteria and hit a friend of mine, and it was a guy that a lot of people picked on and stuff, and I just didn't think it was acceptable. So I threw some food back at him, and it just got out of hand.
You got on the freaking table and threw it at him, too.
No,
yes, you were making a point.
How old were you then?
Like 8 or something.
You're like,
what? 8. So, okay. Don't you think your upbringing by that point?
Oh, I got jumped
in.
I got jumped in elementary school too by 3 people.
Wait, you want to share this bullshit? Let's share it. Talk about it, sir.
Oh my gosh. I don't know what happened, what sparked this. I guess it was just verbal, but eventually some dude started trying to swing at me, and I was ducking and weaving and stuff because I'm not really like an aggressive kind of guy. I practiced martial arts more closer to this day, but at the time I didn't know how to fight at all. So I'm just weaving the punches, and then another kid comes and starts to punch at me, and a third kid jumps on my back, and my face slams into the ground, and I chipped my tooth that day on the concrete. Yeah, once they saw that, like I chipped my tooth, I got up and I was ready to fight at that point. I was actually fucking mad, and they kind of saw me and they backed up, and I went to the nurse. It was fucked up.
That's like punt up real frustration, though. Finally
New
having
Orleans.
A source. Yeah. Sorry. Can you hear me?
And that was elementary school. So you were dealing with stuff at home at the same time. The teenagers and the adults. And you're also dealing with the peer pressure at school. And so by the time you were in junior high, you would say that you had definitely started using alcohol and things of that nature.
Well, yeah, we
Do
would
you
all
think
hang out in a
before
huge
junior
group.
high you had tried anything? When was the first time that you tried any type of substance, may it be marijuana, pills, or alcohol, or even cigarettes?
Probably middle school.
Like what grade? Because I'm curious if you're like me. It was six. Six for me. I was like, let's get trashed. And I did.
Like, it's going to sound crazy, but I would meet up with my friends before middle school. I'm not sure exactly, probably about 7th grade. And I would knock on his window because, like, the thing was is we had our own house to go to, and we would all go there, and it was like we were adults. And we'd play pranks on each other and hide the bike on the roof. And at one point we had a bed out front, and we would jump off the roof onto the bed. I'm surprised nobody got majorly hurt. There were even like cheerleaders and stuff doing like backflips off of it. It was ridiculous.
My goodness.
And we would all just like meet up at the gas station and then walk to our house, like in a huge group of kids. And I guess we all kind of fed off each other.
It's the community. That's what I was saying the last podcast.
We would share our lunch money and stuff. It was crazy.
And everybody's like together having a good time. Were you outside or inside when you guys would hang out?
We were inside this like 3-bedroom house. And we had it all day.
Okay, so let me ask, and this is a really probably hard question to ask.
We had a fight club in the back and stuff. It was crazy in the backyard.
Do you feel like the parents who were the parents of that house were having substance abuse issues themselves? Or were they workaholics?
She drank, but she mostly worked. That was her thing. She was working all day and night.
Away from the house.
Yeah.
Wow. See, and that's hard. Okay. Was it and you don't have to speak.
Was a single mom.
I was going to say, who was
the dad actually passed away because of alcohol abuse.
So the kid's dad passed away of alcohol?
Yeah.
So did he already drink when you knew him?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. One day I got off of school and they had a 40-ounce waiting for me to go to Mardi Gras, and that's when it all started.
So it was natural. Nobody would even take
or 32-ounce High Life is what they had exactly.
Right. You know, that's profound what you just said, because and in your own situation.
I was like, I don't know how old I was, but like 13, 14, and my friends are sitting outside with a High Life.
That's the most profound. Wouldn't you agree?
It's kind of terrible now to look back. That's not cool.
No. Come
not
back to the center of us discussing this whole reality. You're innocent. You're in this situation in your life with your family dynamic. You can't control any of that. It's actually more normalized than ever. And then you have...
I guess it was normal for me and all my friends, really.
Right. They all had a similar dynamic, if you look at it. So you're all coming together and you're like, let's be good company so we don't have to fucking deal. Did you feel like that was a distraction, or like more so healing because you had like family that you didn't have at home that was like fucked up shit?
I mean, I did have family at home, but
your sister, of course.
Yeah, I always had people that I could talk to and that were always there for me. But I feel like, yeah, they were my best friends. We had some of the most goofy and fun times and loyal times, you know. We rode bikes together and learned things, and they always had my back, man. Like, they'd buy me sandwiches and I'd buy them stuff, and we just never...
They fed you.
What
you
was
fed
mine
them.
was theirs, you know. Like, we were all the same, you know. We were young and truly cared about each other. It was really cool.
It's like an early tribe of just a bunch of... this is like what you just described.
Yeah. We felt comfortable to talk to each other about anything. Nobody ever judged each other, but I remember one time the kid went to another school, but he was always hanging out with us. He actually owned the house. But one day they were like, "Yeah, he's talking crap about you, and he said he's gonna whoop your butt after school and all this." And the crazy part is, they were telling him the same thing, that I was gonna kick his butt after school and all that. And we had like 30 kids after school meet up, and we had to fight each other because everybody told each other that we wanted to fight. We didn't even know what was going on at the time.
They played you guys.
Yeah.
Fucking see, that is.
And as I look back,
Hey,
as soon
hold
as I
on.
found out, we went home and it was a big joke. But like at the end of the day, I blacked this kid's eye, and it was pretty messed up, man.
That's early indoctrination of corruption in Louisiana. High five. That's when they like play you and you walk right into the trap of fucking bullshit. Because at least for us, at least I can speak on my own, but man, that's a metairie thing, people. That's a metairie thing, that they enjoy the entertainment. But yes, I mean, so then by high school, were you still close with these people, or then what happened?
Yeah. We just went to the next school and did the same stuff.
It became, did anybody in your crowd, even yourself potentially, find themselves in a situation where you were like, I don't recognize you, man, but I'll be here as long as I can? Did drugs or alcohol become like that?
Yeah, we stopped hanging out as we became adults, actually, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
People started using harder drugs and stuff, and it was just not something I like doing. And I seen other people when I was younger fall victim to harder drugs, and I just didn't feel comfortable. They did change, like it was almost like something flipped on them. Like they really started acting more, I guess you could say, instinctual. Like they would always talk about stealing stuff and like trying to find the next way impulsively to. They just got into more dangerous areas in life, and I didn't feel comfortable.
The cycle of feeding the demon, whatever the fuck that is. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And I was still their friends and stuff, and I still support them to this day, but we really just had nothing in common and stopped hanging out. I guess they kind of were upset at me for not wanting to do the same stuff.
Huh. Can I share a story?
Sure.
When I moved away from Colorado, and that's where I started to use cannabis as a early little 12-year-old, and I'm not shy about that. I don't think every 12-year-old should do that. No. But for me, I'm grateful for it. I had a lot of physical pain in my life, and whether I was conscious of it as a child, it helped me in that way. So at least I wasn't freaked out by it later in life and like, it's a nasty drug. Anyway, the situations I saw that we went through, at least in my personal perspective, in Louisiana, people saying, do you remember that intervention we had by the chance with someone we went to high school with?
No.
You were with me at the intervention at a close friends of ours' house. We went and let the parents know we were concerned that this person was probably using harder drugs.
Oh my God, I don't remember this at all.
This person, how can I put it in a positive way? So I'll just share the story and maybe it'll enlighten you. And she was there. So when I was about 15, and bear with me, people, when I was about 15, I was a workaholic already, and it was my distraction. You can have abuse in all kinds of ways. And my early abuse was money and having that like reputation of like, get it done, you need my help, whatever. And I'm still that person. So it's slightly an addiction, whatever. But I was never like gung-ho about drugs, and I was scared to death of heavy drugs, especially meth, especially coke, things like that. And any snort, put it in your arm, what are you talking about? Ew. And at one point I was dating someone in high school who begged for me to be his girlfriend over and over and over and over begged. And he was like that clean cut boy that you're like, why aren't you on a television show? What the hell? Your family's even ridiculous. Your father is ridiculous. Your sister is ridiculous. You're all like a comedy skit in a cartoon somewhere in the universe, you know? And he was like a normal kid, but for some reason he was a Gemini, I'll say that. He did deal with lots of depression, and yet he was the oldest of his family. I can only speak on what he's told me. He just felt frustrated by like not earning to be where he wanted to be in life. And so he kind of just gave up on himself. And at one point in high school, he was in the early days of his addiction. And, you know, when you love someone and see them before they're actually really, really sick, you know, from their addiction, you almost like see the layers of them as just one before. You don't see that core of a shell they become. But at this point, these are early days in his, like, I guess, would it be like 20 years now addiction? He, me and the lovely co-host here, Marie, after I was aware that he was just acting erratic is the word, and lying when he never did that in his life, and just something, it was probably intuition. I think me and you had discussed it in a very long conversation of like speaking at the lakefront in the car, chatting.
Yeah.
Over and over and over and over, like, is it real? Are we seeing what we're seeing? Like the thing I said at the beginning of this, like when we reflect on each other's life and we're like, am I seeing this correctly? Am I smelling this bullshit? You know? And we decided to actually go in the same car and go unannounced and just knock on the door. And we did it because we loved this person. Fuck if I was his girlfriend or he gave a fuck about me. He was a person I knew that was a very nice, wonderful individual that somehow became something he wasn't anymore. And at the time, he was somehow able to convince everybody, even me, again, and lovely Marie and his family. Because what we did is we sat down and we said, this is what we've seen. He's hiding his arms. We're pretty sure he's using something. Can you please just check so we have some rest and peace?
Yeah.
And he had actually been not putting it in his arms. He's snorting things, smoking things. He was completely a meth head before we even realized what meth really. And Marie over here does not understand meth, and that's a beautiful thing. Keep yourself stupid, girl. Straight up. I mean, you learn how to just recognize it more frequently, but it's not something that's going to change in the world unless like they eradicate meth. Hello, that won't happen.
I think
it's a choice.
Complete shutdown to it, honestly.
And the sad part is that a couple of years later, we ended up getting engaged. Me and this person reunited after high school, and he was like, "I want to marry you." And this is when the days of cliche were huge. So it was like a little bit before 11/11/11, and this person was like, let's do it. Let's make our lives beautiful. Now, drugs can do a lot to a lot of people. And they can make them nice. They can make them aggressive. They can make them normal. They can make them unnormal. All different things. He was doing drugs for so long in his life at that point. I had no idea what I was dealing with. No, I still don't completely understand what I was dealing with. But he ended up coming to California and deciding to move me back to Louisiana. And part of this channel people don't understand is I wasn't in an abusive relation with this person. I actually fell back in love with someone from high school, moved back to Louisiana. But in the process of the actual drive back home, we actually realized we were not supposed to marry each other. And that drive was still happening home. And his 3 days, and I mean it, his 3 days of conversations with me in that car from California all the way back to Louisiana was, let me tell you the drugs I've done and the last time I did them and why my teeth are gone and where I am at in life and what I'm afraid of. And the odd, strange thing of the situation is we ended up getting caught at one point between the border of coming back from California with a ton of cannabis, which there's a video I will link that describes it. It's an old video. But yeah, the Texas police were like, you're no longer, the Border Patrol is like, you are no longer welcome in the state of Texas. So if you guys ever want to have a meet and greet in Texas, I am fucking screwed. I'm not coming. But yeah, they let me go amazingly. Like, reality is what it is. But me and that person, you could say, oh, even the Texas police at that point could look the other way at cannabis. But my whole sad situation with that love was he was so addicted. He was pretty much telling me, honey, you're never going to fit into these pants because I'm still addicted. And to this day, for what I understand, he still struggles. So it can go on that long. It can go on years, and it can be like a progression. He ended up using spice for a long, long time in New Orleans, and it killed his brain. He is not the same person. And then he used antidepressants for a while, I understand, and then he went to dabs. And unfortunately, the access that this person has to dabs are very unclean, very unknown, because they're made backwoods. And so you can really kind of get away with flavor and
Yeah.
concentrates and whatever you're doing. And I literally have smoked with him before and been like, I'm not sure about this, because I know it's not like meth or anything, but his quality of what he believes medicine is, just because they advertise cannabis in one way, shape, or form. Yes, dabs are medicine, but when you put a bunch of distillate or other chemicals to make it a sort of concentrate, it's the solvents that you use that really just affect you. So that can cause brain damage. We haven't done enough research at this point on those kind of things with cannabis that make it
Wow,
from
you
being a
mentioned brain damage, but
yes.
and so one of my friends actually died at work when we were teenagers, uh, and he was smoking a bunch of that spice stuff when it first came out, and he had a brain
Right.
aneurysm.
It's did you ever try it?
I tried it like once or twice, but when I tried it, it made me feel like I was having a heart attack.
Right.
So I immediately was over it. I threw it in the trash.
How long did the effect last? Because let me tell you, my experience was
For
intense.
like 2 hours,
Oh,
my blood pressure was going through the roof, and I just laid on my side. I couldn't get comfortable. I felt horrible, and I'm pretty sure I had like a mild version.
see, and I wonder what it's done to our inside, our muscles, our veins. I've thought about that. I used it twice with that person I just explained because he was saying that it was a great alternative if you were, because it was legal at the time.
Right.
Nobody was going to get in trouble, and he was able to hold a job, which in comparison to using the other drugs, he was just happy he was not using the other drugs. And it's just sad because what did I say before? Do you think it maybe might have been, Marie, that it was social for him at the beginning? Maybe his parent, who probably was like, holy shit, they're smelling the coke on you, when he was probably doing it with him, when we look at the perspective. Right?
Do you think that his dad was somehow involved in the beginning of his addiction, though?
That's what I'm saying. Probably alcohol, probably like he wanted the glory. Don't you agree, all of us? I'm going to speak for myself, but speak freely, okay? Don't you think all of our parents, in one way, shape, or form, wanted to experience their issues with us so they felt like they rationalized it?
I guess in a sense, but in a sense, no. It took a long time. It was kind of like
Really?
once the cat was out of the bag.
Really? So,
I mean, speaking on my parent.
yeah, I'm surprised by that. I would have thought they would have been really out and been like, shut your mouth, but they held it down and hid it?
They didn't hold it down and hide it. I wouldn't say they hid it. But I
Right.
wouldn't say that they were like forceful on me.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like make your own decision.
Yeah, like honest.
But definitely, I would definitely say it was around and always very, 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 very obviously around. Like, it was like, I'm going to calm down.
Sorry, everything keeps popping up. If you guys are not hearing me, I apologize. No, I was going to say, what was your earliest, well, we're on the subject here and fresh. What was your earliest memory that you remember as a child? If they were obvious, but not so obvious.
I don't know. I have quite a few memories, but I can remember when me and my dad were living in an apartment, actually, which is really crazy, an apartment right off of Cleary, and
right.
We had a 1-bedroom, and so I had the bedroom, and my dad had the living room. And I remember one time my mom came over, and she was crying. She was definitely intoxicated. But I remember thinking, that's not my mom, and my dad was pushing me onto her. But she was so, I just was not able to comprehend, and she smelled different. I was very young. Very, very young.
Wow.
I had an idolized picture of my mom in my head because my mom was not around. So seeing her and knowing that something was not right was my first indication that something. I always knew my dad smoked. I always knew that, and I was okay with that after he dealt with my family and stuff. My father's side of the family was very straight-laced and very political, and my dad had to deal with his own issues. He had a father that was very abusive. Whoops, the A word. And it was very hard for him growing up. So he handled his mental health by using substance, and I think that's very much his best friend growing up. Land up meeting my grandmother, and my dad met my mother, and that's how that went. But they all kind of went on the substance abuse, just to kind of deal with things. And we're talking the 80s and 90s. It was
encouraged.
A lot of people didn't really know, and they were just coming out of the 60s and 70s. It seems
just
like
say that
every generation tries to step it up a little bit more and a little bit more. That's what them old folks did, so I've got to do this. And I think that that's generationally, and so it's very scary the times that we're on now.
Right. I mean, the issue, I think, for the earliest, like, I can see, the 90s, you're right about. Tukey, you were so right about clubs in the 90s. You're so right. You're so right, because I almost thought as a younger person, even with Dare, that it was trendy to do X. But I never did it.
Yeah,
and I'm glad I haven't.
But I always heard that you would have to throw up before it felt good or something, and it always kind of made me like never want to try it.
No, I saw some documentary. I'll need to find it. We'll have to do like a follow-up at some point.
I was kind of scared.
There's a documentary talked about, what is it?
I said kind of hilarious. My very first experience with ecstasy was with my mother, my father, my aunt on my 21st birthday.
See, what the hell? I mean, that's it. That's it. They wanted to give an experience.
Baby. That was New Orleans.
That's it. We are, okay, there's just the fact that we are a culture. We are a culture.
That feels like I have just snitched all the way.
Not at all, man. Listen, you can't even. No. I'm saying it like
Tukey is leaving.
Did he just walk
in? Come back, Tukey. Come back.
Come back. Put a rope on him. Pull him in. Pull him in. No, I mean, it's interesting because I don't know how to drink in this day and age. all the years that I did when I was younger, I don't know how to drink and not get trashed. You've been drunk with me a few times. I don't have a memory. I'm a hot mess. You already know that. You could explain it, but don't embarrass me. I mean, I say a lot. I speak more. It's terrible. I dance around. It's bad. But it's indoctrinating, don't you think? Were you there for when I got my brother really drunk?
No.
Yes, you had to be.
Yes, I had to be.
You had to be there.
I don't know. I kind of just let things pass.
So first off, I think we're all underage drinking. Hell if I know.
I'm sure
but
we were.
I don't think we were. I think we were. How did I get the beers? I don't even know. How did I get the shit? I don't know who.
Don't they do that in Germany anyway?
I'm from a French family and an Italian family. Let's just be honest right now. I'm not sorry for tasting
in the food.
But you know what? I like just like vodka. It's terrible. But seriously, vodka champagne. But it's kind of strange for me because when I remember drinking or even smoking cannabis when I was young, and the funny part is I live in the town where I started to do these things, and you'd walk with a giant avalanche coat and have your joint hidden into your pocket, and so you would have burn holes in your pocket from the joint. That's what I remember of the 90s. And like, seriously, it's so odd to me. No doubt in a joint. That's like what I remember early. Or playing truth or dare, and it was like all naive and good. And to watch my friends around me be like, actually tell me stories, and I'm sure they'd appreciate this. So odes to the people that may be listening. Local people that have told me stories about how, like, the only reason they started smoking meth was it was handed to them. Nothing else. No conscious effort. Just handed it to them. And they had an idea of what it was. They had seen everybody smoking in front of them. They all seemed freaking happy. Because it all starts off really naivety and really simple. Especially with meth. But as you've seen, and you can all agree here, we all have friends in some way, shape, or form. Friends are friends of friends. That, like, you've seen their progression of physical change too. And so, like, I feel like in a group setting, I guess, until people were losing their jobs or having, like, their family kick them out of their house, which I wasn't living in this town where that was a thing. But, it was two choices. If I had stayed in this town, it would have been like use meth or get pregnant or do both at the same time and struggle. Yeah. And so struggle with that.
Just guesstimation, how many of the babies out there do you think
were meth addicted? That were meth addicted?
Yes.
You really want to know the honest truth of my opinion? Now, I don't have statistics, but I'll say my honest opinion.
Yes.
In just my counties, Garfield and Mesa, probably, let's see, meth addicted babies born addicted, a solid 40%.
And so are these kids that are in your area that if you've had any contact with them, are they
visibly affected? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. They're going to have a harder life. They're going to have a harder education. They literally don't know how to communicate because guess what else? Guess what else happens? They get natural neglect from their parents who are going to continue to use. That's been explained.
So they're addicted to meth. The hospital knows this. They get released to their parents.
Not right away. The parents have to go to a parenting class, prove to them that they're going to take the steps, and this is repeated over and over and over until they take the kids completely away. So yes, the kids are neglected. It affects their freaking early development. Yes. CPS doesn't have enough
long term. What are these kids?
It's social and emotional, and we all know what that does. And also, it's the air they breathe in those apartments and houses and places they live. It's
exactly what they're born into, though.
Right.
Their chromosomes were put together with these.
So when they're handed that pipe, and they might have been around it, and they're finally just like, whatever. Because, see, let me tell you how this is the person, the same situation, same exact person I'm about to tell you a story about. So let's just flash back all the way back to 1996. I'm living in this town. I'm living in a beautiful, brand new home, spanking new. My mother, my best friend, lives across the street. And her mom is such a happy drunk. They go to the bar all the time. That's what they told us. They go play pool and darts. That's what we knew. What we were supposed to do, as me as her friend at her house, my only thing to do was to help her clean her house so she kept her mom happy, because she'd be shit-faced every time she got home. And when she got home, explained to me why my childhood brain did not know how to process, and neither did my friend, that her mom was always going into the closet right away when she got home. I mean, every other child would assume their parent is taking their clothes off and putting on night clothes, because that's what happened. But they spent a long time in that closet. Okay?
Uh-huh.
And they were smoking meth. So she was it was easy. It was easy for her to get into it, and that's how she got into it. Her whole life, she'd been around it. She knew her aunts and uncles were completely belligerent and were in and out of jail for stupid shit. And she'd respect how I'm explaining this, so nobody be triggered if you feel like I am being aggressive on my friend. I'm not. I'm saying her story, which she's told me. The facts are is that it stole her life for a long time. She ended up naming her last child Faith, that she had faith she could quit doing meth for that kid. The last kid she knew her body could handle, because she ended up having a complete hysterectomy from ovarian cancer. And she was literally told me that it was like one of those things where it's like, doesn't matter how much you love your kids. It doesn't matter with meth. It doesn't matter how much you love your kids. Some people can't get past it with meth. Meth steals your soul. It doesn't kill you right away. It just steals the soul. So you're a body on this earth empty. She literally would say to me, when she finally was out of that lifestyle, she could see the world with the eyes of no longer being methed out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she'd see people like homeless people and whatnot, and she could recognize when they were on drugs of that sort, and she'd be like, they're a shell of a person and they look rough. And she didn't mean it like, oh, that's a homeless person. She's like, they look rough. Like, do they see themselves? And the miracle of my friend is that she, even being pregnant at one point and using meth and stopping, but like as soon as she had her daughter, especially the first one, it was like, where is it? Let's go. Like, I don't even care if I'm healed or not. I don't need to breastfeed. I'll figure it out. That's the saddest part of this addiction. And so you feel for these people, because it's like, you know that they're there deep, 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 deep inside, you know? They're there somewhere. But how much is the sinkhole they're being gulped into, that so that we all walk over them? We can't look at them anymore. We can't put a rope out, you know? Like, I don't know. So she got herself out of the addiction. She says often that, and she's been, I think, I want to say like maybe 16 years clean. That would probably be proper. And like at this point, cannabis is her go-to, and she's very into the industry now, and she's done something for her life, you know? But she's a single mom, and, you know, that's hard too. So like she says all the time, like, you know, it's about distracting. When you have, at least for meth, it was one of those things for her. She had to find healthy ways to not distract herself. Even if it was like cleaning the toilet. That's what she told me. Like, I'd clean it a few times if I had to. And I wasn't on meth, but like I was doing something. I was moving my hands, you know, go outside, pull some weeds, you know.
It's hard for me to really grasp the whole meth situation, because, as you know, my my son's father passed away from fentanyl and methamphetamine, and I never knew about it. I knew about his previous heroin addiction.
Right.
I knew about the pills that he took as a teenager. He was very close friends with my uncle. I knew about the stints in jail that he did and the things that he had to do to survive. I knew about all those things, but I did not know about the meth.
Isn't it just like, because you know what? I will not interrupt your train of thought. Please, I apologize if this
No,
is
not at all.
but as someone who still doesn't completely understand this crap, and that's the way I'm going to put it, the whole thing, your situation and the drug. For me, I think he was literally not going to make it. He didn't want you to completely lose respect for him. Like, heroin's enough. But that's something well recognized in history as steals someone. Meth, at that time that you were like with him and he had that problem, you know, in the early days when he got into it, whatever. Because there was a period, you didn't meet him, he was always on things, right?
No, he was
So,
very young, but it didn't take long. It didn't take long. I would say about 15. At about 15, he had fallen into addiction. And I
well,
met him when he was 13.
15.
And it was very
What was it?
prevalent in his life at that point. All of the adult influences around were definitely already on substance, many different substances. And he was already needing to sell things for his family to be able to pay bills and stuff. That was from the very go. I knew that. And that was at 13, 14. And the heroin addiction didn't come until he was, I would say, probably fresh 18, 19 years old. And he was very much, and he didn't tell me that at the time. He really didn't. I really thought it was the Xanax. And when the Xanax first started, I didn't know.
Right.
He did try to keep things from me. And so I wonder how long the meth was the problem. Looking back.
And it could have even, do you know if he ever was on the synthetic version of it? Of
I
Adderall?
I have no idea.
Because that's really important. It just makes it so easy. So just like, because even if it's used recreationally, people do not understand you're literally walking a fine line. And like you said, the time periods he's doing, was it his fault he was already gonna fuck around with that shit? Or was it the only cheapest alternative? That's a question, you know?
Yeah.
Because drugs are drugs. Like, if this is the thing I learned from my ex who was a heroin addict, like, he was like, listen, if I can take something in your cabinet right now that will get me high, I would steal it from you. That's how bad my addiction is. And I was like, holy fuck. I looked at him like, you're crazy. But he's being sincere of like, don't encourage me to be like, it's all right, you'll get better. He was like, nope, this is going to be forever my struggle. And that's what heroin looks like to me. And with meth, it's like, can you please not judge me? That's the eyes of meth that I've seen. People who have said, I'm on it. And they're like, can you please not judge me? And then I'm like, can you smoke a bowl with me? And they're like, no. And I'm like, ew. You know? It's real. So, I mean, like in your situation, Marie or Tuki, what do you think, like, what was the most profound, alarming, like, well, I know I'm not this, and I know these people are this. Like, when did you separate yourself from, like, it's not my fault or not my business? They need to work it out. Like, what was it that did it for you in life?
I don't know. I think I'm still trying to learn that because I think I live in such oblivion that I'm able to overlook it. It's almost sometimes, I wouldn't say comforting, but because I was raised in a culturally accepted You know, I mean, you got to think when you're a child raised in it and how the future is really going to be, because I don't think that the homes that are growing up that these children are being exposed to meth. I mean, meth lets out different toxins.
Yes, it stays on the wall. You have to have it professionally removed. It's not something you just clean up.
Right.
It
So
smears
they're
around,
already
goes deep.
predispositioned to it. I think that it's scary times that we're really going into. But in my personal situation, I think that it was something that was already able to be looked aside as long as you were able to handle and maintain life.
Yeah.
That love wasn't not there. And so I find that I can understand in love an addict, um, and then at the same time be really confused. I'm not able to differentiate. Like, I'm not able to really truly understand the addiction.
Did he ever communicate with you his physical body pain that he had from withdrawals?
No.
Or he never discussed any of that with you?
Never.
That's hard.
No.
So he went through things
Really didn't
alone
want
and
me
the
to
addiction
ever see
alone.
him as anything weak.
Oh,
And he really always wanted to protect me from the substance. He was always very against, like, when he found out that I was smoking cannabis and all of that, he was really against those things for me. Growing up, he was never interested in me trying the pills or the drinks or any of that. He really discouraged all that. He really did not want that. And then later on, when he had no control over if I was going to drink with him or not, you know, because we were grown adults,
right.
He never judged, but he always told me how much better I was without.
See, and I wonder if he was just like, you've never had that disposition though to be like, unless I'm completely wrong. You're the one who took my credit card away when I would buy too many Build-A-Bear outfits, folks. She did. She was a real friend. She grabbed my purse, took it away from me, says, "Where's your wallet?" I was like, "What are you talking about?
That,
Where's your credit cards? What do you mean? What do you mean? Stop it. I'm having an anxiety attack. Stop it. What are you talking about? Give me your wallet. Okay? There's your checkbook. Okay.
But I was also
go in there."
when
She
your
did
mom
that.
had first passed away and you were super upset. You fell in love with that dog and you had never wanted an animal, but you fell in love with Kiki in that store that told you no matter what, you're going to get this dog and you're going to love it. And you're going to be able to take care of it and have something, a purpose.
And I really didn't think I was going to have a child. So I really was like, well, if we die, let's die together. Let's do this, you know, Laverne and Shirley, whatever the fuck that. What's that? Is it? No, it's not that. It's not that. What's it? Not Laverne and Shirley. No, what's the one where you drive into the wind? What's that movie? Oh, people, you better put it in the comments. But yes, no, that dog was a total distraction from grief. Who knows what I would have done?
Yeah.
It's actually a good thing.
And then I was so young and I went home. I went to your house and your grandmother was not for it. And I was like, she needs this.
She's like, "Woman, I hate you. Get out."
Yeah. But she let you keep the dog.
Yep. And then Katrina happened and the dog's the only reason I left. I was so stubborn. And that's what I'm saying. Like, shit. I don't have a representation of bad money situations, but that definitely was my beginning. Early, I never drank. I spent too much money. And then, you know, I guess if there's a will, there's a way. You got the money, you spend it. That's what I did. You know, all right. No, I mean, and then I would drink too much when I drank, but the dog was a reason to stay focused. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have the dog. Maybe I would be a complete mess, you know?
Yeah.
And have reasons to be sulking. Like, let's do some more crack. You know, I hope I would never do. And In a parallel universe, did you realize, Tukey and Marie, that there are 12 multiverses? Did you know that? 12. Maybe you know more, but I've been researching it. And if we think about that, if our lives could be in so many different parallel ways, I have thought of that. I don't know if you guys have thought of that for yourself. Like when you saw people outside yourself who are struggling, you're like, let me assume that my life could be on this angle. Not that you can help them, but you could at least process the humility of it. Of like the heroin side of things. I didn't want my ex to hurt himself, but he was going to, whether I told him to or not. And so when I would date an alcoholic, it was like, well, he'll be nice as soon as he's done. And he was. And I don't know, cocaine. Well, he can afford it. How am I going to stop him? And he doesn't seem to act like he's going to have a heart attack. So rationalize. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, very easy to rationalize it.
Right. And if you love someone, like your situation, you love this man, and he's not even communicating what he's struggling with, how can you help, encourage, sway? He didn't even give you that responsibility. He disincluded you.
Completely.
Which is impossible to process, because then you're like, you can't talk to him about it. You find out all the things. It's like no offense to any LGBTQ or anybody, but if you found your father cross-dressing and he's kept it from you his whole life, and then he died, and then you found like a bunch of stuff, and you're like, but I would have loved you, Dad. I'm one too, or something like that, like, it's crazy that he didn't give you an opportunity to be a part of that. He was obviously uncomfortable.
No, he definitely did not want me to be a part of that. And anytime
Right.
it really came into any discussion, he was kind of like, this ain't for you.
Mm-hmm.
And he definitely experienced those things with other people, especially towards the end of his life. But it was very strange because, I would ask him, well, where are you at? And he would say, really nowhere important. And he never, and he put out YouTube videos days before and made sure that it was a picture. He just made some really poor decisions, but he always kept me separate from it.
Right.
He always kept me separate. And I think it was not as an in love type of love. It was like a nurture versus nature, and I was so young and innocent. I mean, I was 12 years old when we first held hands, dated, and so he actually nurtured because he had seen nature, he had seen the realities of it, and I was something he could nurture. And it's crazy that by the time he did have children, he was so far gone into his addiction and into the demons. He had done prison time before he had even really become a part of his oldest son's life, And I think that those demons were on his back because he was such a nurturer. It was what his true purpose was.
So do you think, because I think that this is something to really ponder, whether he's gone or he's here. This is something to ponder when he was alive.
He always knew he was going to die.
No, I was going to say, well.
He always knew it. And he always said he would be here. And I think he gives a lot of clues that he is around, but I think that he was troubled from the beginning.
Do you feel like he had multiple personalities due to the drugs? And so in a sense, he didn't even know, I guess, like the facts of it is like he lived a double life. Facts are facts. So do you feel like he could never introduce that other side of himself fully to you? Because the addiction was just like that monster?
If he was, anytime that he tried to get away from that, he would come back. And if he was, you could tell that he was on drugs if he was staying away.
Gotcha. And I'm sure
Like,
a lot
he
of the
first got out of
listeners...
prison and he was with his family and myself. We parted ways and he immediately went back to the drugs and he immediately got with someone else. And unfortunately, she experienced a lot different of a person than I did.
That's what I'm saying. I
On the
wonder...
outside, it looks really good. You can paint whatever picture you want.
Right.
But on the inside, I mean, he really destroyed himself. They had 2 children and he was hard on drugs. I mean, I can remember at one point when I was pregnant with my second son, he called me at one point asking me if I knew anywhere to get pills. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, what are you doing? But he had come to that point of desperation in his addictions.
That's a really good point. I have to ask you, have you met anyone else who did that? Because I've met several people in Louisiana who would like find friends to just ask for pills. I've noticed that. It's only the only state I've ever had it be like that. It's like they are so hungry to feed the addiction.
Yeah.
Have you met anyone else in Louisiana like that?
I mean, I'm sure I've met several people.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like it's your situation. You tried to be there for him the whole time. That's the fact. And didn't enable his... You didn't have any facts to go on.
No, it was always foresight,
Yes. Yes.
So, and then
I mean,
hindsight's 2020. So
I'm gonna mute because I'm warming up some coffee, but I'm with you.
how do you feel about those statements, Tuki, regarding that person?
I just think he got the best of him.
I mean, when you look back on the times, did it finally make a lot more sense for you, Marie? Like, did you stop taking things personal when you realized it was drugs? It wasn't him?
No. No. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
No, I think I took it personal. I think even to this day, if I really think about it, I can take it personal.
Right.
We are human.
Right.
And when you feel something so profound and that other person feels something so profound in something else, it's hard for you not to take it personal.
And it's like, even though it's a drug, if he's not explaining to you what's really going on, you're going to take it personal as it's like a being. It's no different than a person you're being cheated on.
Right.
That's what I found with the person we confronted his family, because I was like, he's cheating on me with this thing, and I don't know what this thing is. I don't have a name for it. Same thing with, your son's father. It's, you couldn't be there even if you wanted. And so to process all this on your own is like, who do you get mad at? The addiction, like you were saying? Or the mental health that was like bad choices, erratic behavior? What created what?
Well, go ahead. Go ahead, Sam.
What happened?
Tuki was going to share something, but he seems like he's no longer comfortable.
He can take a break. It's okay. We're all here to respect. I mean,
The back door opened.
Really?
Yeah.
By itself?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, Marie, we just had an entering extra person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Am I wrong?
Looked? Was there anything out there? I thought it was locked.
The back door was closed for sure.
Oh yeah, he was scratching on the door.
You hear scratching?
No, the dog was scratching on the door
Oh.
earlier, and then the door just opened up.
Okay. I was gonna say we have a nice little friend we were just talking about in the situation. If it was, I believe it. Everybody else is rolling their eyes. It's fine.
Well, it's just odd timing.
It is odd timing.
The back door doesn't always open by itself.
Right. And he's been barking that's funny. But yes.
He
No.
never barks. You notice that? I've actually had Tukey check the door several times. Like, is somebody here?
Right. Well, you can't deny. We must bring this up. We've already had a ghost episode. We're going to do more, We've talked about spirit. Let's put it like that. I mean, do you feel like it's hard? And I can't answer this for you. So I'm only going to ask and to your best of your ability. Is it hard to like tap into spirit at this point? Because
yes.
Like you don't almost want to talk
I'm
the
a
spirit version.
I've been reading tarot cards since I was 14 years old. And from the day that I found out that he had passed till about 2 months ago, and it's been a year in July, I wouldn't even touch the cards. That was often something that he would talk about when I would read my cards, because I was always reading cards in front of him and reading his cards and trying to figure out and talking to spirit and just really and he would shuffle for me. He really never was negative about it, but he'd always say, I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to talk to you when I die. And it really frightened me. I didn't want to know what he had to say.
Well, that makes sense why you're actually in this mental block situation, because you're like, come on now, stop being right in that situation or being afraid, that his words are so profound now.
Right. And it's truly heartbreaking. It's hard, and it's hard not to hear his voice. So I think I think he always knew, and the things that he was afraid of was the way that he turned out in the end. And so it was like somehow or another he always knew. And a year before he passed away, which is really crazy, he was going through a lot. He really just his mother had died while he was in prison, and he never really got to be with her at the end, and that really hurt him. He was definitely a mama's boy, and he just wanted to be with his mom, he would say when he'd get really low. And he was working, he was an electrician, and he was working one day, and he was just really low, and he sent me a picture. A bird had landed on him and like actually hung out on his chest for a good while, enough time that he was able to take pictures of this wild bird. And,
wow.
And he knew he was gonna die. And I think he knew that the addiction was going to take him, and he did go to rehab, and he did all of those things, but he couldn't escape the things that he had already done, and the way that life had left. And as I said, he was a nurturer, and he didn't get to be with any of his babies, and
which is just profound for their souls and their understanding of life.
Was that outside or was that in the house? All the animals are in here, and there's something knocking from the living room on the wall.
Wow.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, all the animals are bunkered down with us, like, fuck all this.
Wow.
We're in here.
No, but like, I think the more you lean into the fact that you believe in some things and other things you just can't put your finger on quite yet in life. If he's with you right now, I say he's just making it clear that he's not left you. And I've said that a long time. A long, long time. But it's your own process of grief. I'm still going through, what is it, 18 years of grief come this December of my mom gone. And I have dreams of her alive not wanting to talk to me. It's so fucked up. So the mind fucks with you. And like, if you're trying to denounce anything that you don't have tangible when they've left you, it is really hard to accept that they've entered the spirit side of communication instead of the physical, you know?
Yeah.
Because technically, I'm not talking to my mom right now, and she's been gone for 18 years. But I'm not talking to her in my dreams because we're fighting about some stupid shit, which is crazy when you deal with grief. Because it's true. There's like these psyche moments where you wake up and you're like, oh, wait, I remember. Like, you know, you're going to go through the transitions. But the profoundness of it is that he has been so profound in your life. You can't shake that even if he was alive, you know?
Right. It's a long time to know somebody. The good, the bad, and everything in between. And it's crazy because it makes you view other people that you've known just as long, that you've cared for and have experienced life, pieces of life with. To see them still alive but battling, and you don't know, is it mental health that pushes them towards that, or is it the addiction that caused the mental health issues? And you find yourself defending those people because you know how easily that life can just shape. Are you there? Tuki?
Mm-hmm. Are we having some technical difficulties?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Sorry, my cell phone died. I'm charging it. It'll give me a second. We'll be back on track. I apologize. The audio shit on this side. Is it echoing or anything?
No.
Okay. So I missed probably about 30 seconds right there, but I am here listening, so I'm going to mute myself again while my phone turned back on. Thanks, Apple. Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
So just please continue, and I will join you back up on here with better audio.
No, go ahead. I finished what I was.
Oh, I didn't even hear. So, do you want to say anything, Tuki?
No, it's just kind of interesting to hear how most of these stories are very similar, you know? A lot of people are scared to open up about what's going on. And you never know, like, one day they can be smiling and happy and you be in a great relationship, and the next day they could be dead, you know, because they had something they were hiding. And it might have been easier just to talk about it.
Well, that's really awesome that you're even no caps. No, we're really glad you're listening, everybody. We have UFO giving some great feedback. He said really enjoying, and he said sorry caps. No, I think that when it comes to our family dynamic, are we really going to sit back and be mad at them when we were the children of a product of probably their hidden demons too. We can't completely talk for them why they became why they were, whatever they were. We only know from our perception of what we were, introduced to.
We can learn a lot of lessons and see the positive side to people and the things they dealt with and being around it.
I mean, do you choose the same drugs that your parents did in your life? I mean, are you a parent at the same age they were? Are you doing the exact same things they are doing? That's probably the best thing we could all ask ourselves. Sorry, I'm eating one of those little Debbie brownies with the M&Ms, and they're fucking good. Sorry, I'm like, stop shoving it in my mouth. I apologize. No food in the mouth.
Or I was gonna mention too, like the stimulants and things like that. People say
I don't know if you guys can hear me. Is everybody okay? Because I can't hear anybody. Let me know. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Angry little Mac over here. Hold on, let me get all this crap out of the background. Because it went silent. I don't know if you could hear still and it's just me. Let's just talk about something. We're going to go off subject for just a slight little second here. I have a ghost. I do, 100%. You can check my Instagram. You can check all my socials. But today I was on the phone with the internet company that I have my security cameras at. If you guys are watching from YouTube, just go back a few videos. I have them up for you guys to view on your big damn screen TVs. And my Xfinity is the company I go through, and they were like, we don't understand what's going on because all your settings, this isn't something you could change. So it literally scrambled the information, and it's not letting me record. And when it's stopping at like 3 a.m. and whatnot. I'm gathering evidence to eventually put together a video so I can just kind of describe for you guys how strange this is. So if my Wi-Fi is messing up, just say something in the comments. It'd be really helpful for all of us. Sorry about that. Go ahead. Tukey, I apologize.
No problem.
I mean, once you got to your high school end of days, did you have any substance abuse issues by that point? And did the friends around you find themselves in that predicament? Or even family, you could say, if it did it change for you?
Yeah, I used to take like painkillers and stuff because I thought it was I guess not as dangerous as harder drugs, and I'd play video games, and sometimes I had such bad anxiety that that was the only way I could actually sit and do something simple. And I don't know, it's just I think I used it as self medication, but after a while I realized it was just not convenient for me, and it was just economically unsustainable, and it just doled me out. So I kind of
out. Not good. Do you ever have any moments where you passed out or anything? Like you blacked out and people were like, dude, you were da 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 da.
Yeah, I remember times where I would order food and I would fall asleep, and my friend would like get it for us, and I'd wake up and I'd be pissed off because the food was cold, and I'd wonder why I didn't eat it. It was really stupid, but it was entertaining at the time, I guess, in a way. But I just I just found myself in a loop where it was just the most convenient way to have fun, I guess, or do something to entertain myself. It made a boring time entertaining, I guess, in a way. But I just realized that I shouldn't be associating with certain people if it's just for drugs. And I started deleting numbers and stuff so I couldn't let my lower self or my addictive self sabotage my plans. I always had plans to invest and to take care of my family and stuff, and it just wasn't lining up for me. So I decided to step back and try something different.
I think that's pretty awesome that you even deleted the numbers. I don't know why you or how you did that. Did you do that with a girlfriend first so you learned it, or what? Because honestly,
No,
that's
actually, I
smart.
always
That's
kept their
so
numbers.
smart. That's a good advice to give to people. It's like, yo, if you're trying to get yourself away, maybe you can't move, but you delete your access. Wow, that's
like sometimes when you're in a bad spot or you're really bored or you having impulses, if you don't have the access to your impulse, then you kind of find something else to do eventually.
You know what's interesting? I mean, we all know, if you're watching this podcast, if you're listening, my views on cannabis are positive, but it's probably the same exact story as the way people get into meth and other things, because I was just now thinking, like, I didn't ever pay for any blunt I ever smoked until I was about 24 years old, and Marie over here knows that, where I was like, I'm actually having to buy it all of a sudden. Which it's true, right? Wasn't it? Things like that were kind of available. Like, if you didn't deviate from the coolness, like if you were trying to have the, I guess, Coke to bring to the party, then maybe you would go a little fancy and do a little bit more because you're like, I'm bringing it, whatever, But I wasn't.
Yeah, I always had access to things that I might not.
So it could be
I used to get
easier.
a lot of stuff for free or for a cheaper price, and
Pills, especially. Excuse me. That's
and
something that's always handed out.
I was always part of like the entertainment industry and stuff. Like a lot of my friends were musicians, and I would always have like a surplus of smoking. And I remember one time I went to a party and it was actually like a topless party. It's kind
That's
of crazy.
fun.
Yeah, it was super wild. But I had a bunch of those raw cones, and I stuffed like a whole ounce in raw cones of some OG, and I just kept lighting them and passing them around. And I remember hearing the crowd somewhere. They were like, "Where are these coming from? Like, who's doing this?" And I had
love that.
I had my front pocket full of joints. It was hilarious. I just like being the life of the party sometimes,
I do
Just fill in the blank.
think it's important for us, me, you, Marie, to speak what was the underground at one point, which it is still coming, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. At one point, we will all be able to be at Mardi Gras, I'm telling you, and passing it, because in certain states
we have been at Mardi Gras passing it.
No, but I mean, the cops have to walk past us, and they'll probably say, that smells good, and walk
Yeah,
off.
they usually leave you alone.
They
as
do
long as
in
you
New
don't cause a
Orleans.
problem.
I saw it. When me and you and everyone, I'm talking about.
You're gonna smell cannabis if you're
Listen.
if you're at Mardi Gras.
Listen, the fact that almost every rooftop patio I have smoked at in New Orleans says a lot about
the funnest
culture.
times. I remember we had a condo.
Right. Wait.
And just hanging out the patio, seeing people and stuff.
You cut out. What did you say? Which?
Just the condo that my friend had.
Oh, a condo. Gotcha.
It was like a $500,000 condo, and
nice.
You could see the river from it and everything, and
oh.
And it was just fun mingling with people from a distance. You would like see them passing, and you would be like, hey, and they'd look around and they'd look up and see you. People would throw stuff back and forth. I don't know, like cigarettes and stuff, just random stuff. It was funny.
Right.
or bananas or something. Are you hungry?
Right.
Like, throw them a shrimp.
I like the cabbage and
It's like
potatoes.
Mardi
That's
Gras.
not Mardi Gras. I like Irish Italian. That's my time.
Uh-huh.
I can't wait till it's not just medicinal. I can't wait till it's legal. You understand how much we're going to party hardy? We're going to medicate that shit. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah, I used to live on the parade route.
Fun.
Yeah, it was great.
I lived near Bissonnais at one point, and Bissonnais had that little one.
That's where I met my first girlfriend, actually.
Really? On Bissonnais?
No, in Mardi Gras. I'm sorry.
Oh, gotcha. No, in social events that we are all together, it's not just encouraged to mingle with your family. Wouldn't you guys agree? You're supposed to know the public. You're supposed to turn around and say, hello, how are you?
Yeah.
Like, it's social. But now, I don't know. I wouldn't say Katrina. I don't know when the time period changed. I don't know. People have just been, listen, what we have seen grow underneath our noses in Louisiana has went far beyond just the white stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's went towards the doctor shops we were talking about before, and all the pill mills. I'll put it like that, a pill mill. All the places that were passing out opioids, and people becoming so utterly addicted and being so utterly dependent and losing everything, and hurricanes coming in and just making it worse, and they're selling they're selling off their problem. It's Suboxone's a sold thing often in New Orleans, because hello, people have problems and sometimes they don't want to admit they do, so they're buying the solution off the street. That's how bad it's gotten there. So people are out of touch, I feel, and like, it isn't the whole same atmosphere as it was from when we went to Mardi Gras when we were kids. Not even a little bit. It's much more dangerous, much more interesting. Did you stop going to Mardi Gras, Marie, or did you just keep going? I can't remember.
I mean, I stopped going when I first had Antonio.
Okay.
Youngest son, just because I wasn't going to bring him out there, but
right.
No, I mean, I've gone to many, many, many Mardi Gras.
Right. I mean, the people we've seen in the French Quarter, I would say, are mostly alcoholics. But how do we know when they're in groups of the crowd? Because you don't go to New Orleans and go to the French Quarter to Bourbon Street. You don't go to Bourbon Street by yourself, man or woman, and just get yourself shit-faced and walk around, unless you're just that irrational. That's pretty sad. You need a buddy system. That's the way it has always worked, because you will get robbed. You will get cut into little pieces by who knows you're in the wrong alley, right?
Yeah, I actually have a good friend of mine that got stabbed and he passed away in the Treme.
Oh, geez, that's horrible.
I just found out a few days ago.
Well, if you want to feature his situation, we're more than happy. If you don't, we respect that too. But just to show oath to the situation, that's what I'm saying. It's sad.
Like, carry the equipment and stuff, and I met him through a musician friend of mine, and we just partied a lot and had a lot of fun together. But I guess he was around some people. Maybe they tried to rob him or something.
Musicians in general, that's a culture based around substances.
And maybe one day we'll definitely cover a lot the musicians in New Orleans and
yes,
how that
dynamic,
really, how it affects the whole city in a whole. Because I would say a lot of music definitely comes from New Orleans, is inspired by New Orleans, and the artists that send a group there, it's not Hotel California, but it's definitely a close second.
Yes, it's Aretha Franklin on her tippy toes. It's all the other things. Like I don't know anywhere else, because I've been to Vegas, and I don't know anywhere else where it feels so original when you stand in the crowd or sit at a cocktail table and you hear someone speak into the microphone and they don't have anybody changing, altering, playing a tape over them. Like when you see someone do bandstand style jazz and they're giving it and they're dripping on the stage, that is a culture we don't see as often anymore. Like, you can't even when I saw the Polish ambassador a couple of months ago in May, which was like a dream come true. I was maybe like 5 feet from him, but he still was rised up on a stage, you know? In New Orleans, you can get up close enough to potentially smell their clothes.
Right.
That's profound. We don't have that kind of musician. What's the word? We don't have that culture, musical culture in any real. I mean, maybe Tennessee or something. I'm not that educated when it comes to maybe New York street performers, but it's not the same like the little stage, like cocktail style.
Well, now that we've passed that 2.5 hour mark, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We're definitely going to have to wrap this up here shortly, and we're going to be tuning in tomorrow, I think at around the same time, correct, MsChronicChronicles?
Yes. And we appreciate all your support and respect watching tonight. We will go on with this topic in the future. We do keep want to stir in the pot with different conversations, so you guys keep thinking. We are not one style, and we're not one size fits all. So
please leave your comments below on like topics that you would like for us to talk about in the future, and maybe even your own experiences. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Right. Thank you all for being here. Have a great night, day, wherever you're at. Give this video a like, share it out to your friends. And until next time, have a good night.
Be blessed and blessed be.
Bye.